Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. It is the week of Christmas and I just wanted to celebrate this time with you, just to go over some of the stock symbols that we cover and just wish you guys a happy holiday season. Like I mentioned, we're probably not going to see a whole lot of action this week. We are only trading 3 days and a half day on Christmas Eve, so 3.5 days. So with that said, guys, I hope you have a great time with your family. In this video, I'd like to just go over our favorite stock probably of the channel, which is Tesla. It gave us a lot of action on Friday. Hopefully, even if you weren't trading it, you just got time to sort of watch it just go buck wild. Definitely want to talk about it just because it was really fascinating to watch. I mean, it was just, we held this sort of 370 level pretty much throughout the whole day. I was scalping short early in the morning, and then I did go long, and it was just sideways action, and we had this sort of dump. And I sold a put expiring on that day over in the 600 range, and it was just intense because we held this sort of 370 level so well, or sorry, excuse me, 670 level, and all of a sudden, come close, you could just feel how heavy the stock got. And so here, if you look at this candle, and this is literally right before we're about to close around noon, is we're trading at a high of 672. So an hour before close, we're at 672. And all of a sudden, you can start to feel Tesla get sort of a sell-off. It was getting heavy, so it got down to 660, and it just flushed all the way down. And like I said, the amount of volume that we traded in that last hour, I mean, Tesla traded over 200 million shares on Friday, so it's definitely, you can see this big green sort of candle, which is awesome, right? That we ended up trading higher, but we ended up dumping right as low as like it was 628. So I had an order actually. I think one of my initial longs for a quick scalp was around 630. And it was missed by about 30 cents, which was a bummer. But look at this candle here that we had at one point going into the close, guys. This candle here at 12:50, which is again Pacific time, that was like a $28 move in a minute. That's a minute chart. So for those of you guys who are shorting it or shorts who weren't covering, and they were just selling off, and people who were panicking, worried that, oh my gosh, Tesla's tanking, they're selling their shares and they're selling their shares. People are panicking, and we talk about that a lot on this channel, right? When people are panicking, what do they do? They're releasing their shares. These big institutions, they're just buying them up, and then all of a sudden, what, bam, in 1 minute we recovered most of that loss. And so everybody who had a sort of a stop, if they were shorting, essentially got triggered in that stop, and then all of a sudden you saw this big candle, and all of a sudden we were back trading up in the 670 range in a matter of 3 minutes. So we're down here at 630, and in about 3 minutes we're at 670. So what a roller coaster, right? What a roller coaster of a ride. It's not something that we see every day. We know Tesla can move 30 points, 40 points, but still there's nothing really here to be concerned about. We're on this upper band since the S&P news. We traded sideways somewhat, but anytime you're between the upper and the sort of middle band here, which is a 20-day average, you're still bullish. And these candles are extremely long. Look, if you look at our average true range, we're trading average now almost 35 points. So, in this day here, we're trading over 50 points. So it was quite the ride, and it's exciting to see now officially as a Monday what the shakeup's going to look like with Tesla. So if you're Tesla long, you're obviously in great shape. You're in the 670 range, and again, with this 20-day average and all this upward sort of band going, in a positive direction going upwards here, I expect that this will sort of hit this support here that I've drawn around 625. Now, why did I draw 625? I drew 625 because that's clearly where we bounce multiple times this day. It did act like a little resistance here on Wednesday, but you can see we clearly have bounced off this level several times. So when I'm looking at these sort of support and resistance lines, I'm looking at where were the buyers, where were the sellers, where did we sort of bounce off of, where have we validated. The tricky thing part about it, obviously, is this is sort of what I call really the first line. I mean, you could get into the maybe 45, 650, but we really haven't traded a lot in that area, right? So when I'm looking at, let's say, 5-6 days of resistance and support, that's a validation rather than saying, well, we hit 670. Why isn't that a support? It's not a support because there's not many days that we traded there. There's not a lot of buyers and sellers that we could argue have constantly validated that support, which means that when it hits that level, it bounces back. So in that case, my first sort of level, if I'm really dip buying Tesla, is going to be in the 625 range, which last week's video we talked about when Tesla was below was that, the first range we were going to see is 625 to 630. And then I also mentioned in my last video last week, I wouldn't be surprised if, Tesla was going to validate the 650 and onward. So, at this point, with all of the volatility, it's going to be it's going to be hard to predict exactly where we're headed. A lot of people talk about, 700. Well, obviously 695 is sort of a tease to 700, which is awesome for Tesla. But again, guys, like we mentioned, you're talking about from 405 just about a month ago. We're talking about over 70% gain in a matter of a month, which is a lot. It really, a stock gets exhausted and it needs to sort of unwind. So the first level that I'm looking for is 625. And like I said, if it doesn't come as a dip buy, that's what I'd be looking for as a retracement. As if it does unwind, again, we can see it definitely coming back down into the mid sixes, the mid fives, where we saw like 545 and 585. So if you're going long, feel free, you could always dip buy and then sell it sort of as it rips back up. If you're shorting, again, you're just looking at basically those key levels and essentially, so let's see where the sellers and the buyers are. We know there's going to have to be a ton of institutions that have to buy up the stock. And so that had to happen this weekend, going into close Friday. So there's going to be a sort of an imbalance coming in Monday. So let's see where that gets us. And, guys, it's just been a fun ride. Hopefully you guys killed it and made a ton of money. Again, if all you did was buy 100 shares back here and you just sold them, here. Just a personal story that I will share on this channel is I actually had back here in October, I actually had $600 calls in Tesla, had about 7 contracts, which is about 700 shares worth of Tesla. I had 7 contracts. They were only going for about $11. And when we had this earnings, and that was really the boost of, I think that we were really expecting for those calls to be valid for a December 18th expiration, they ended up sort of tanking, and we had the election drama, which we've talked a lot about. And so those contracts that were $11 that I ended up selling, I bought them and sold them multiple times, but the last round that I sold them for a small loss, those same $11 contracts were worth $85 on Friday. And they obviously expired on Friday because they were for $600, and Tesla was clearly a lot higher than $600. So for those of you guys, we all sort of have those regrets of like, man, if I only held, I could have made another $50,000 profit is what essentially it worked out to be. But, honestly, guys, the market's the market. These opportunities, believe it or not, do come more than once a year. They come quite often. So be patient, be confident, have that ability to know and to stick to your game plan. And for me, it being a loss, we were talking about $1,100 contracts. It wasn't that big of a risk, but, and I followed my risk management plan and I felt like it was the right move. And to be honest, none of us knew when the S&P news came. It just happened to come at a time, right after the election. We didn't know that was going to happen. Obviously, if I knew that was going to happen, December 18th worked out perfectly because that was the S&P news. So everything just lined up with that trade. So I just wanted to share that. If it's something that you've gone through where you've had this sort of trade and you didn't follow your plan, and honestly, on Friday at the last hour, I just sat on my hands. Unless there was an opportunity, which, like I mentioned, Tesla, and it came at a price that I was comfortable with, I just sat on my hands. I didn't chase. I didn't do anything that was not against my plan. And guess what? I still ended up green on Friday because of that. Now, had I just jumped in and Tesla's moving 10, 20 points every minute, I mean, you could have easily lost all your gains for the day, for the week, for the month. So being a trader and a profitable trader isn't about making the right move that day or that session. It's being consistently profitable, which a lot of times means following your game plan, trusting yourself, and having and respecting your stop losses. Okay, so with that said, guys, I wish you the best of luck. Again, happy holidays from my family to yours. And if you like this video, like I said, please hit the like and subscribe to this channel and receive any notifications on videos that we post. We're a 100% free content channel, so anything that you can do to help support the channel, I personally appreciate. And I again wish you guys the best of luck, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.